This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Okay, so here's what's been happening to you and people who rent apartments or multifamily residences. Okay, there is a company, it's called RealPage. And RealPage has a pricing algorithm that is deployed for the benefit of landlords to collude and to share confidential, competitively sensitive information and align rents throughout the country. And it's so nefarious. It owns 80% of the marketplace, of this type of software, RealPage does. So it's sort of a monopoly on top of it. But what it's doing is it's bringing in all these multifamily rental units to one central location. The landlords are all confabbing with each other. They have all these phone calls, and they are encouraged to configure, their own product. Their own RealPage products so that they'll get notices when somebody is raising the rent on a comparable apartment, right? And if they actually don't raise the rent on a comparable apartment, the algorithm actually notifies the regional manager for this, for these rental units, and says you got a guy that is a property manager, and he doesn't want to accept the recommendation that we sent him to raise the rents by 20% this year. Or if anybody should come in new, that the same apartment that was rented last year for $900 is now something you have to rent a studio for $900. Now you rent it for $1,500. And they have to. So then all of a sudden the property manager gets a phone call from the regional manager, who says, "What do you mean you don't want to raise the rent? What do you mean? You're fired." And there's peer pressure too. They all get together and they actually have these online training sessions. Okay, they're boozy little chat fests where they all say that they communicate directly. And they talk to each other about how they're going to gouge and how they're going to, make fun of, and how they're going to rent to this person and not that person. I mean, it's unbelievable. And they all say to them, "Oh, you have to eliminate that 1 month free concession that you got going there because we're not offering that." "Well, you're not me." "Well, I'll call your regional manager and I'll tell him you're still offering the 1 month free, and you don't have to do it because no one else in a building like yours in any city or in any suburb is doing the 1 month rent free. Or free rent. Swear to God. And so now, under the Sherman Antitrust Act, which is a 100-year-old law, it was passed a century ago to combat the robber barons. The robber barons used to meet. They used to shake hands in a back room somewhere. That's where the smoky back room deals came from. Now they're doing it with AI. Now they're using algorithms and chat rooms and boozy little lunches and threatening landlords, regional landlords by calling. We'll call the regional manager if you're the property manager, or if you're the regional manager and you don't agree to, you say, "No, I want my region to have reasonable rent." Well, then they'll call the owner of the buildings, who might just be, Trump Jr. He owns a whole bunch of units in Georgia. This is a thing. So the Justice Department, the attorney generals of 8 states, North Carolina, California, you think, what does North Carolina have in common with California rental properties? Nothing except this company's algorithm. But North Carolina, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Minnesota, Oregon, Tennessee, and Washington have joined the DOJ's antitrust suit that was filed in a federal court in North Carolina. And the allegation in the suit is that RealPage's algorithmic pricing lets landlords of multifamily dwellings effectively collude and set rents above market rate, depriving renters of the benefit of competition on apartments, harming millions of Americans. Some things never change. They just don't. Now, when Kamala Harris is talking about her housing plan, it's basically build, baby, build, because, you want more affordable housing. And I don't mean, Section 8. I mean houses that are, the median price of a house in the United States now is $400,000. 400. Okay. Now wages are up and people, but they're priced out. Why? Because there's no competition. There's no competition. It's like everything is being set at the central scrutinizer's level, and none of it's trickling down to you because there's no competition. And so what Kamala Harris aims to do, and she's going to announce her plan tomorrow, you'll get to hear it from her because I know you don't want to hear it from me. But tomorrow she will announce her plan. Her plan is not just this antitrust suit to break up the monopolies over the rental units, because, in 2008, when Bush crashed the economy based on housing and letting them run over you, these investment bankers went out and they started buying up everything, and everything became a rental. Everything. And now they own almost everything. And they're colluding to keep the rents uniformly high without any competition from some upstart who comes in with their affordable rental units. Well, she's a trust buster. She's also, a former attorney general. I think she understands what's at stake. And she's somebody who sued the banks after 2008 and got, they offered I don't know, I'm going to say $1 billion to settle the case, to give some money back to the homeowners who were, literally duped out of their homes. She said, no. This isn't $1 billion case. This is a multi-billion-dollar case. This is a tens of billions of dollars case. And that's how she knows Beau Biden. Beau Biden was the attorney general in Delaware. That's how she knows Roy Cooper, who's the governor of North Carolina. They were all AGs during this time. And they were all able to hold big housing and big banking accountable to people who worked really hard to buy their first or second or third house. And so she knows just how to do this, which is another thing that's kind of great about her. But tomorrow she's going to announce her housing thing. And what she wants to do is subsidize builders to build an enormous number of housing, houses, so that people who are able to buy a house for $350,000, $400,000 can buy a house for $350,000, $400,000. I mean, we need to build the housing we need both to rent and to sell, and then take down the barriers and cut the red tape, including at the state and local levels, and destroy these monopolies that are artificially setting the prices for these houses and units. Yes, it's all happening with the hidden hand of the rigged marketplace. And that's what people don't know. And that's what people need to know. And I think she's just the person to explain it to people. And so I think tomorrow, drill, baby, drill. It's going to be build, baby, build tomorrow. You'll see. And there is an incentive, also on the front end. First-time home buyers, $25,000 in a mortgage credit. So it'd be sort of like, there's and people go, oh, that's good. Remember that guy that called and said, well, once they started Pell Grants, the price of college went right through the roof. And we found out, no, the price of college went right through the roof because the government stopped subsidizing colleges and universities. And so they had to make up the money, and you did it. You did it. They took that money that used to subsidize education so that you could afford it, and they gave it to the billionaires in tax cuts. Doesn't ever trickle down. It always goes in somebody's big ass pocket, okay? And you are always the one that's left wanting, needing, hoping, dreaming. It's an unbelievable, collusion. It's an unbelievable scheme, but we've seen it before. And that's why we have things like the Sherman Antitrust Act on the books for over 100 years. You had like one person owning, Standard Oil, one person owning all the railroads, one person, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work. The reason why we have, a growing middle class is because LBJ invested in the middle class. Yeah, and unions. That's why we have a middle class. But these, these colluders, these, big, banks that own, the investment bankers that own, all you have to do is change the rules, like who gets to own what. Sort of like, in radio. Used to be, if you owned an AM and an FM in a marketplace, you were done. You couldn't own anymore. Then they took off the regulations that said you could only own one, AM and FM. And then all of a sudden you had corporate ownership of every radio station in your town. And guess what? Radio died. And then Donald Trump tried to crash the funeral, I guess, and pushed the lovely lady out of the way, thereby committing another felony. No, I joke. But it's not funny. It's real.